Up next, we have an essential and most intriguing panel that I'm sure a lot of you have been waiting today, focused on the future of crypto in the MENA region. And as we all know, this region is truly where things come to flourish. Allow me to re-welcome some familiar faces, beginning with our moderator, Mr. Alex Fazil. Please, huge round of applause. Followed by our panelists, Mr. Edward Eremeev, the Streamline manager of B2B in Pay. Huge round of applause. Mr. Tobias Power, partner of Blockchain Founders Fund. Huge round of applause. Mr. Mohammed Isa, the regional manager of Chain Analysis. Huge round of applause. And another familiar face, Mr. Alban Warren, the CEO of XD.com. And last but not least, Mr. Tenio, the senior advisor of Abode Options. Huge round of applause, everybody. Let's begin this phenomenal panel.
Crypto Expo, Habibi, salam alaikum. Yeah, you're still awake. That's really good. Let's do a bit of an exercise. It's getting a little bit late. When I say bit, you say coin, okay, guys? Ready? Bit. Bit. When I say habi, you say B. Habi. Habi. All right, fantastic. So as you all know, we're talking about the MENA region today, but before we kick off, let's zoom out a little bit and look at this with more context. For those of you who've been going to, for example, business schools, you may have come across a model called the PESTLE model, where the P stands for politics, where the E stands for economics, where the S stands for social, technological, legal, environmental, but we'll also add financial based on the expertise of our amazing panelists today. As you guys all know, Bitcoin is 14 years of age. Actually, let's start off with an intro, yeah? Please, go ahead, 30 seconds intro each.
Hello guys. Thank you very much for inviting me here. My name is Edward. I'm happy to represent B2B in Pay team. We at B2B in Pay allow any online business to accept cryptocurrency and convert it to fiat or stable coins. Thank you very much.
Yeah, hi everyone. Thanks for joining us today. I'm Tobias. We run Blockchain Founders Fund. We are a venture capital fund in the space for the last 4-ish years. We've invested in 150 companies in the space. Just launched a new fund to focus.
He said talking about crypto and meta adoption. Yeah, thank you so much, buddy.
Okay, good evening everyone, or good afternoon. My name is Mohammed Isa. I'm with Chainalysis. If anybody here doesn't know what we do, so to make it very simple, we build trust in the blockchain. So we work with government entities. We're talking about Interpol, Europol, UE government, central bank regulators, to make it very transparent when it comes to the blockchain and to get us legit investors. Whenever there is an issue with crypto, it's all about one thing. It's all about trust. And that's exactly what we do. We want to build trust in the blockchain, so we find different traditional finance, traditional investors coming to us, and we believe that that ecosystem should be growing more. Thank you.
Thank you, Mohammed. Albin.
Thank you. So I'm Albin from XT.com. So basically we are a crypto exchange, but not a typically crypto exchange. We are actually what we call a social trading platform, where we can use the power of community to do like what we call group or social trading. So beside that, we're also active in different fields, investment, incubation, launchpad, etc. So thanks for having us, and share more about MENA region and growth.
Thank you very much. And last but not least, Tenyo.
Hi everyone, thanks for being here. I represent an immigration company, which is quite different from what you used here. What we offer is crypto solutions for immigration. As you know, the global immigration market is growing in double digits, and there's lots of people in crypto, and they really want a solution that goes beyond speculation in crypto, but also solves real-world problems like immigration and relocated into other countries.
Amazing. So today, guys, in order to bring maximum value to our lovely crowd out here, let's make it personal, but also non-personal. So personal in the sense that there are no filters, don't hold back, be entirely honest and transparent, just like the values of the blockchain, but non-personal as in if you disagree with each other, that's totally fine, where it's not personal in the sense that you can have different ideas. So without further ado, guys, before talking about MENA specifically, if you don't mind choosing one aspect that you think is critical from the birth of Bitcoin in 2009 all the way to today in MENA in 2023, what are some angles or evolutionary steps that you think are very meaningful in this beautiful story? Let's kick off with you, Tobias.
So, yeah, I mean, we have been in a space since beginning of, or end of 16, and then as a fund since 2017, 18. And, you know, since then, obviously, there's a lot of changes has been happening for the good part, for the most part. And it's interesting to see how sort of the crypto dynamics was evolving, right? In 2017, 18, there was a lot of stuff happening in China. All the big crypto conferences were in Shenzhen and Shanghai. Asia was very much on the road at that time. And then China banned crypto and everything moved down to Hong Kong and Singapore. And now we have a really interesting revolution down to the UAE, Dubai, and Abu Dhabi in specific. But still, of course, the US plays a very significant role. So in terms of the milestones, which is interesting from an investor perspective, is like, where are the crypto hubs in the world? So where do I need to be in order to source interesting projects, but also capital? And although the US is still, I would say, the majority of the deal flow we see, also the quality deals, you know, typically where you have a mix of a founding team between Web 2 and Web 3 who have a very strong product focus, come into the space. And then the UAE has been more and more the capital focus, where startups, but also big corporations go in order to fundraise. Also, crypto funds have received a lot of interest from the region. And then Asia is now also picking up as, like, you know, countries like Thailand and so on and so forth have gone very positive into the crypto space. So for us as an investor, it was really interesting to see how the journey of crypto was from a geological perspective and from a capital perspective, because that's effectively what we are focusing on. I mean, the projects here on stage probably going to have a different viewpoint, more on the tech side or more on like the project side, but I think that is a very interesting flow towards MENA, and that's why we are extremely bullish about the region here and about having presence here and connecting with the ecosystem to understand, you know, when is the time to invest in the region, and when do we have projects and innovation coming directly from the region.
Thank you so much. Tobias, on the technological side, I know that that's one thing that fascinates you, if you don't mind sharing your point of view.
Yeah, hello guys. So actually, let's start from the very beginning. Bitcoin was created when? Like 2008, 2009. And since that time, like 14 years has passed, and now we have what? Like now we have a $1 trillion huge ecosystem that consists of like DeFi and different applications and different protocols. And all the major institutions have been disrupted, like not disrupted, but they have been significantly impacted by the creation of Bitcoin. Yeah, we have over like 1 million developers who are working in this industry, right? Every day they create some new applications, some new stuff. I think the effect of Bitcoin is enormous, is significant. And actually, like if we start like to talk about the financial aspect, I believe that Bitcoin has impacted social by providing an alternative to a traditional financial system, right? And maybe arguably it has provided the better form of money. If we compare the current financial system, it is like, okay, we all know it is slow, it is high fees. Bitcoin has significantly improved the transaction costs. It is immutable, it is auditable, it is instant settlement in comparison with the traditional financial system. Now, what I wanted to say is, initially Bitcoin was used as a, like according to the white paper, like electronical, decentralized cash system or payment system. And it was used as a payment method for a lot of time, but we see that for the last 2 years, it became more and more like an investment vehicle rather than a payment option. Instead, stable coins gain more and more popularity and start using on a daily life as a payment solution, as a payment option for the people. As far as the political aspect is concerned, that I can say that people from politically unstable countries can keep their life savings in Bitcoin, right? Because of the hyperinflation, some other aspects or some other reasons. And I think that the adoption of crypto become more and more deep. Guys, they actually estimate that by the end of 2024, there will be already like around 1 billion users who are like one way or another, like they are connected to cryptocurrency. Right now, if I understand it correctly, it's around like 200 million and 50, something like that. So yeah, this is what I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So Mohammed, in terms of the evolution, you have the compliance, the risk side, the regulatory side. What have you seen in the 15 years being in this region, and how do you see this evolution playing from that perspective?
Okay, wow, there are lots and lots of changes, 15 years. Let's just talk about the last 5 years, all right? And let's talk specifically about the region. We're very fortunate enough that we are in a country that's taking an innovative steps toward crypto. They want to be the hub of crypto globally. And by doing that, number one, we need regulations. And we have very advanced regulatory body in Abu Dhabi called ADJM. We have another one here in Dubai now called VARA, and just released a few weeks back in Iraq, in Ras Al Khaimah. So we see how many companies are coming. The number one attraction for investors is to know where the government is going. That's the number one. I will never put my asset, I will never establish my company, I will never get a legit investor to establish with me unless there is a country that really can protect us. And we're fortunate enough to be here. There are lots and lots of also steps from the private sector and the enterprise. So I think you all know that MR, for example, are accepting crypto. Damak, NFT released or going to be released by Etihad and Emirates. So all of that, the last 5 years back, the number one, there are regulations coming. And not only what we call related to crypto as crypto, but also we have NFTs, we've got DeFi coming, so there are different regulations in place, and there are more investment in this aspect. Also the law enforcement are getting more advanced. We work directly with the UAE government entity, we train them, use our solution, and the whole idea is we want to take that opportunity, the opportunity to be the capital of crypto globally. And I think Dubai can do that because Dubai is really attractive. There is no tax. They're free to establish or low cost to establish a company here. Very advanced. There is no that kind of red tape. If something needs to happen, the government will just initiate it as long as it's the benefit of the people and the government. So it's perfect. And that's how I'm seeing going. So about the future, let's keep that to the end of the discussion to make it much more interesting for the people to have here what we see. And again, it's based on my personal, let's say, perspective. But of course, I would love to hear also the panel, how do you see the future at the end? Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Albin, from the exchange standpoint, obviously we had many issues last year. There are many black swan events, and there's a little bit of a loss of trust. But we are seeing all the mega exchanges like XT, Binance, et cetera, come to this region. What did you and your teams, and what do you believe other exchanges find interesting about the MENA region?
For us, actually, and particularly for me, from my perspective, as building a new office here and started up in Dubai 1 year ago, UAE is the perfect example of a successful blockchain system. So what I mean by that is, like, we could imagine there are 3 layers. Like, let's say you're building a blockchain. First, you need the infrastructure, which could be represented by the government and the support and the vision of the place to encourage the industry. Then you need the middleware, which could be represented by all the service provider or support through maybe VC, institutions, incubator programs to boost also the ecosystem. And the last layers will be the application. So basically, which could be represented by the project, the builders, the people that make this ecosystem live. So when I look at UAE, when I look at Dubai or Abu Dhabi, I see this example, this analogy with a successful blockchain, which is representing our industry. And from our perspective as an exchange business, if we want to succeed, we need the support from governments, we need the support from the partners, the institution, and we need also the project to be part of it. So it's just a perfect triangle where, from an exchange perspective, we feel the opportunity to grow in this region. And as we are entrepreneurs, we feel a very strong also entrepreneurship vision, because this country has been built from, at the beginning, a very strong vision, 1 years ago, that started from nothing and that came up from an idea. So we believe also in these values.
That's amazing. And Tenyo, as a foreign person who migrated here to this region, are you noticing anything in particular, whether it could be from simply the culture, or the mindset, or something that you felt was different here from what you saw back home that's helping the region take this competitive edge?
Well, actually, that's a very good question. I come from a region in Europe which is overaging, and there is lots of old people. And coming here to Dubai, I just see the vibe. I see young people, I see enthusiasm, I see how everybody wants to change the world, which is admirable, because where I'm from, this doesn't exist anymore. You know, everything is just so old. But contrary to my panelists, I have a very different opinion about crypto. And one of the reasons is that I have to yet see a real-life application of the blockchain. I haven't seen anything other than financial speculation. And I think if blockchain should develop, we need to start building real-life solutions based on the blockchain and not just focus on speculation and investing. I think investing in speculation is a very good part of it, but I think the region here has a lot more potential which goes beyond investing. I think the young people here should really think about how to create the next Google, the next Microsoft based on blockchain. So that's it in a nutshell.
Fantastic. Round one. So let's go. Any comments on that, Edward, with regards to the region and mainly seeing in the investment angle, the speculation angle? Are you seeing some good use cases here in this region?
When we talk about technology, I agree that I don't see any killer application in the blockchain, but I think there are different trends right now. So for example, what are the trends? So first of all, I think that DeFi is going to be more popular. Then I think that based on the crash of FTX, like there is more demand for proof of reserve. Then, of course, security applications based on the different hackers attacks, some kind of like AI, artificial intelligence, smart contract audits is going to be more popular. And probably decentralized hosting, or how it is called, decentralized physical infrastructure network. Guys, you don't understand how difficult it is to host blockchain infrastructure in the current cloud, cloud computers, cloud hostings. There are so many different requirements. And actually, like many hosting providers, they are reluctant to work with blockchain companies. They can tell you that, sorry, we do not cooperate with you, or sorry, you won't be able to kind of like scale, change the tariff plan. But hosting a blockchain node, it's like every few minutes you get a new block, so you have to have like a very big disk, and you have to constantly enhance it. So I guess like the physical infrastructure will be a trend for the 2023. The idea is that like I see so many different technology, but the core thing here is that how you implement this technology into the real world, into the real life. So for example, like on our example, I can explain that right now, crypto as a payment is more popular like through fintech or through high-risk companies. But for example, next year in European Union, when MiCA law will enter into force, we can actually use cryptocurrency like to pay in coffee shops, in restaurants, like wherever. So the idea is that the code is one thing, the technological advancements is one thing, the regulation must go hand by hand, right? Side by side. Yeah, I agree that I don't see any kind of killer application like in Web3 world. But again, when we talk about the Web3, so what I can say here, like Web3 applications, I think that they have some difficulties to be presented because like where are the means of the presentation for the Web3 application? Like I'm a developer, I have my team, I have the venture funding or whatever, and now I've built some kind of like application. So now I want my users to interact with this application. So where I go, what means they use? They go to browsers. All the browsers kind of belong to companies, right? Whether it's Google, Firefox, whatever, and all application stores. So the Web3 application can be blocked in application store or can have some issues like in presentation in the browsers. So I think that, in any case, I think that 2023 will be a pivotal year for Web3 applications because of the different, several factors. One of them is account abstraction on Ethereum. It's going to be easier for the end user to, sign in for the Web3 applications. And yeah, again, like we're talking about the decentralized physical networks, and we talk about the improved user experience.
Tobias, you're in an area, Singapore is also considered one of the crypto capitals. That's some sort of label that everyone wants. We'll be the crypto capital of the world, New York, London, MENA, Singapore. Do you see any similarities when it comes to the capitalist socioeconomic standpoint with MENA and Singapore? And do you believe that these two areas are kind of paving the way for other countries to follow suit?
So it's a good question, right? Because Singapore is equally structured as Dubai, I would say. It's a similar amount of people. I mean, we're 6 million. Here's roughly, what is it, 9? And then outside, we have massive countries with big markets, right? You have Egypt with over 100 million people. You have Saudi. And then we have Indonesia. We have Thailand, which is similar structured. In Singapore, it's it's tightly regulated for funds and for projects. A lot of other countries like Thailand, for example, ban crypto advertising, so you cannot do that. So they're all doing something, but I think overall the message is we are pro-crypto, where we are supporting it. A lot of funds come to Singapore because it's a very stable ecosystem. The jurisdiction is very important, as you said. You need to have a claim on something. And a lot of ecosystem providers like Fireblocks, like the custodians of the world are in Singapore as well, because a lot of capital is there. What I think the difference is where we already see a lot of innovation coming out of Singapore because we had previous unicorns, and then all the tech sort of triples down into now, okay, the head of the product from Grab or the head of product from Shopee, one of the major players, is now starting a crypto company because he realized that there's one thing within e-commerce or within the creator economy where Web3 effectively could support, where we not necessarily see a lot of true innovation coming out of UAE, for example, right? I mean, yes, there are a lot of startups here, but they're not local startups, right? They come to Dubai because they get incentive from the government to be here, right? And there's capital in the region. I think this will change over time, right? It's a relatively new market, and the tech sector in itself, like Web2, has already proven to be successful in the region with Kareem and many other big players. And I do think we will see a similar trickle-down effect of talent over the next 3 to 5 years, that we're going to have great local talent, great local ecosystems like Hub71. I think is a really interesting one. Crypto Aces, who support the ecosystem here on the ground and facilitate talent and investors. And then we, obviously, as an investor, we need to support the right projects, right? The right intentions, and do a proper due diligence. But then only if this ecosystem works. So I think maybe Singapore is a tiny bit ahead in terms of the actual innovation, the entrepreneurship piece. But I think Dubai is moving further ahead in terms of regulating it, making it acceptable, and giving you a proper framework to operate. I think the biggest challenge as a founder, I don't know how many founders are in the audience, but if you don't have a proper framework, if you don't know what I'm doing could be legal tomorrow, it makes it extremely difficult to operate a business, and it makes it extremely difficult as an investor to invest in a company, because obviously no one's willing to take that risk. So I think the UAE also, I mean, Abu Dhabi and Dubai in particular are very strong at sort of nailing down that framework and bringing out different hubs and free zones where you can operate and also work with the regulators and sort of creating that licensing ecosystem. And of course, you have a lot of capital here, right? I mean, also Saudi, I was 5 times in Saudi last year. I think that's going to be a really interesting ecosystem moving forward. Look at Abu Dhabi and Venom Hub71. That's a $2 billion fund, right? Or like $1 billion fund. They're not saying, okay, let's put 75 million, 100 million and see what goes. If they do something, they do it with full conviction and a lot of power. And I think that's what's going to be, we just talked about this from 0 to 1, can go very, very fast in this region, which I think is fantastic because that's what the space needs. Of course, then regulatory piece, I think this is going to be an interesting movement.
Fascinating. I'd like to pass it on to Albin because I saw you nodding your head while he was talking about local talent. And for those who don't know, localization obviously is extremely, extremely difficult. One of the biggest failures in corporate history was Disneyland from the US to Euro Disney in Paris because they didn't understand the local culture. They thought almost Europe was one country while it's very, very nuanced. But Albin, you being a really big exchange in this region, you must have found ways to localize, to use the talent pools, to promote diversity, to really understand the local cultures. How was your experience so far in growing the teams here?
What is beautiful about UAE and Dubai, where we are, is like there is a strong culture, strong roots, but at the same time, the economy is happening because 90% of people coming from all over the world. So for us, it has been a fantastic opportunity to build a diverse team. So we succeed to find talents from everywhere, from different countries, of course from the MENA region, to empower our business actually here. Then beside that, as an exchange, actually, it's not an easy job. So we also, even if we are based in Dubai today, to build what we call a global headquarter, to actually having this spread all over the world. And Dubai become like this place in the middle of the map, where the whole world is traveling from Asia to Europe. And most of the projects that we see, even if they are not localized here, they are passing by Dubai. So it becomes like the new place, like maybe when I was living in Asia 10 years ago, Hong Kong or Shanghai were the place to go. Dubai today is the place to be. So we are very excited about the opportunity to be here and use the full speed and the full potential of the region to grow ourselves, but also to help our people to grow with us. Because it's not a one-man show. It's always about us, the partners, and the people. And Dubai is the perfect place for that.
Fascinating. Thank you so much. And Tenyo, going on to you. So a lot of people say that crypto and this MENA and this region all starts from the mindset, right? When we go back to all the whys, it's really a psychological perspective. And when it comes to the mindset here, have you noticed any superpowers amongst the locals where you thought, oh, this is quite different and this needs to be stressed?
That's a very good question. First of all, as I said, the population of the UAE is very young, which is a huge advantage because you, the forward-thinking people, are young and they have ideas. So I think that's the superpower of the region, is your average age. The second superpower is the infrastructure, the regulatory framework, and of course education. I think it just ticks all the boxes. I don't see why MENA shouldn't be the new center of blockchain. However, one side note, since blockchain and crypto should be decentralized, going forward, they shouldn't be just one region as a center. It should be all across the world. But of course, he has to start somewhere. And I think this is the perfect place and the perfect time.
And speaking of young people, we see a lot of amazing young people here today. Mohammed, you mentioned something earlier, which I think is great timing to focus on. We talked about from before all the way to present. Now, what are the next steps, Mohammed? Like, what do we need to do? Obviously, things are going in the right direction, but we still need to keep building on baby steps, right, to reach that perfect future that we all look forward to.
Okay, so again, it's my own perspective. And my own perspective when it comes to where is it going as when we're talking about regulations, when we're talking about the central bank and traditional finance. Because there is a huge gap here, which is where we are now in crypto and where is traditional finance. Traditional finance, and I'm still talking about the UAE or the Middle East, but that issue is globally. Traditional finance is still way behind. And I do understand, I have some friends in finance, I have some friends in banking. They don't like us. They think that we're eating the lunch, but it's true. What we're seeing today is only 1% of the capabilities of DeFi, just the top of the iceberg. I think in the next 5 years, it's all about DeFi. But again, we need to play well together when it comes to traditional finance. Let's take my sister or my mom. They don't believe that they will put all of their money into crypto. Some of the users, even some of our friends, will be trusting a bank to be a custodian. I want to call someone to retrieve back my key. We all know the stories of people losing their key, right? It's all over the news. We laugh about it, but those people are crying. And that's a challenge when it comes to crypto. In Turkey, for example, the central bank issued new guidelines. It's not yet fully released, but it's starting to make the banks start understanding, guys, we need you to be ready. I'm thinking all of us here know the case of FTX. Everybody knows the case of FTX. It's not a crypto case, it's a scam. And I believe that we all agree here. It's not the issue with crypto. Crypto, I agree with you, it is decentralized, but we somehow created our own centralized entity that we trust. But still, until we really be decentralized fully, why not we work with banks? So Turkey initiated that the bank now will be a custodian, meaning that they will be the one handling your crypto. If that's the right thing or bad, it's your choice. You can keep it with you in your wallet, you can keep it with the exchange, whoever you like, but you have another third option that was never been there. I trust the bank because they're fully regulated or they have their own system. I'm not agreeing that it's fully uncorrupted. That's another discussion. I'm not going into politics, but at the same time, banks, they have compliance, they are regulated, they have all the systems, so why not to have that custodian within the bank? Especially that we see also, I'm not saying after 5 years, after a few years, we've got government initiating their own CBDC. That means also banks are coming into place. And again, banks still reluctant to really invest in this. And that's why I believe the government need to push, like what Turkey did, hopefully in different government, to push a little bit that yes, come, trust those guys working in crypto. Start to build together a use case. You will never be just going to work in traditional finance forever. And that's how I see it. I say CBDC is coming into play. Banks will be playing with us nicely. They will be more into crypto. And I think exchange will continue being exchange and a bank be a custodian until the day that comes that we fully can manage our asset directly.
Thank you so much for that great perspective. Tobias, you were mentioning that you really wanted to see some startups being built from the ground up here locally by the locals. Are there any other things that you want to see in the next 1, 3, 5 years from now to really make crypto capitals around the world?
You know, I'm not saying here's no innovation, right? What I'm saying is I want to see not just companies flowing in because of attractive frameworks. What is always important, and like, you know, look at Silicon Valley, look at Singapore, and look at New York to an extent. People wanted to go there because everything was there to be innovative, and I think that what makes a difference, right? I mean, Dubai is now very flashy and, you know, attracts a lot of people, but it's a very different environment than being in Silicon Valley and starting a company, right? Where you don't have money, where you cannot be flashy, where you're not driving a Lamborghini, right? Whereas like a very, very different mindset of like starting up a business, of being resourceful, of, you know, wanting to connect and exchange thoughts with other founders in the industry, best practices, of course, where you want to have an investor network, where you want to have support, and so on and so forth. And I think that's what needs to happen here, right? Both from an educational perspective, that you have universities, that you have, you know, all sorts of different institutions which support that. At the same time, you want to have, you know, capital, which is, you know, they can already do a check mark. They just need to figure out how to properly allocate it. You know, and also build smaller funds where you can support early stage startups and not only the late stage ones. But then, you know, it's a diversity which makes Dubai and like the UAE very interesting, right? You have people from all over the place, from all different backgrounds, but you know, they need to be here in order to start something. And then I think also like, you know, like Saudi, Egypt, where you have a lot of 100 million people, right? It's a massive, massive market, which is 10 times as big as Dubai. Okay, if this market picks up and we have people building here things and like, you know, basically developing solutions for the region, for the world, not for the, you know, copying, pasting, sort of the China model in a sense, right? Where we look, okay, how does it work? There's Amazon, and then, okay, we build Alibaba, right? There's Uber, okay, let's build Didi. And it works, of course, because it's a market. And the concept is proven. And the same thing here as well, right? I mean, there's Uber and it built Careem, and it works. Fantastic, because it's localized to the region, it works. Very similar to an exchange world, right? Then you have like bigger exchanges which are localized, which focus on smaller transaction volume of, you know, not as good internet connections that you can send crypto without doing that, and many other different things. But then now I think the next step is what's going to be interesting is that you build solutions which are developed here in the region and then being pushed toward the world, not the other way around. And if this is going to happen, then the space is going to be literally Silicon Valley, I think, right? Because you have the capital aspect, you have the government aspect, the only innovation and the entrepreneurial piece is missing. a little missing.
Beautiful message. And Alban, I love your comments on that because there is copy pasta, as we say, but there's also innovation. What do you think are the future products and offerings on the investment side that we should offer and innovate on for the local region and getting people involved in crypto assets?
I believe, especially for the region, what we're trying to do is also to localize our product and our service. So, for example, that's why also we are from the social media where we are starting to communicate in Arabic to also the product we are thinking today to implement more Sharia compliant product. We believe also in the potential of the Islamic finance. So we are thinking also maybe how to adapt and how to enter also this niche. We are seeing also halal exchange that are being built. I think it's also a very big opportunity because the Muslim community, which is over 1 billion people, is growing tremendously and is not just a community for trading, but it's also empowered by a real movement. So it's super interesting. And so we are looking definitely at this niche and this opportunity to grow here, but also outside of MENA region. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Tenio. We have 1 minute left. If you want to give your last message coming from your heart to the beautiful crowd that we have today.
Well, thank you for being here and offering us the opportunity to give our view on you and then give you our perspective on how things go. As a closing remark from my personal side, I think we're in the infancy of the blockchain technology. Crypto and then the blockchain business needs more regulation, more education, and more human resources. Only then it can become a valuable ecosystem and a business.
Thank you so much. And before we have the last answer, guys, this gentleman was really worried. It's his first panel. Let's give him some love and a round of applause. Woo! Good job, man. Good job, man. Your last word, Edward.
Yeah, thank you very much, guys. As a final word, I want to say that MENA region and UAE in particular is becoming is already like a transportation hub, and technological hub, financial hub. So I really think that there is a huge potential of this region to become a crypto investment hub, I can say here. So it has so many talented people. It has a very friendly regulation, and it has government that actually engages in different crypto activities. So, for example, if you don't know, the UAE was the first country ever to engage in organ transplantation using blockchain technology. So I just hope that it will continue to go further and further. And yeah, thank you very much, guys. See you.
Shukran, Crypto Expo Habibis. Thank you so much. The future is bright. Thank you.